welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. It is another weekly Roundup episode. Owen back again for this one. And hello, Chris.
Hello, Owen.
Returning champion.
That's
guest co-host.
Brought me back so you could get the disability benefits.
Yes, that's exactly why. Paige is still in Adelaide. She comes home tomorrow, so you're filling in for yet another week. Thank you, sir.
Not a problem.
What's good? What's news?
Oh, man. This is a terrible time to come back on because I did shit all this past week. At least shit all I can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
No, man. Nothing new. Unfortunately, we're just jumping in the deep end of I got nothing. How about you continue hosting your podcast?
I haven't been doing jack shit either. I've just been chilling at home, hanging out with Reese, just being a bit of a hermit, focusing on the pod. Yeah, I don't have much to chat about either. I have some shout out notes because you and I have been talking about stuff during the week. So,
as we do.
Do you want to talk about Holy Blade?
Oh, dude. How good was that?
So for listeners, watchers who might not be aware, Chris sent me a unlisted YouTube video for a release that'll be coming out at the time of publication. It'll be in a couple of days' time. So it's next week on the 13th of August. But the band is Holy Blade. The song is Only the Dead. And then it's coming from a self-titled EP, I think, that the band are dropping. But it's members of Twitching Tongues, God's Hate, Disgrace, Cosmic Joke, basically a California supergroup.
It's insane. It's also not insane because they're all already in bands with each other.
They're in 1,000 bands, but this particular one is strictly AFI worship.
And damn good AFI worship.
It's great.
It's so good.
I would say if you're an AFI head, it would be Days of the Phoenix, kind of very late 90s, early 2000s AFI. So that particular sweet spot, Black Sails in the Sunset type thing. It's dope.
Yeah. Sing-songy as hell.
Sing-songy, catchy, fast, power chord shit. It's great.
Yeah. It's I also just enjoyed watching Colin doing kicks with a guitar because he can't kick.
The man knows how to spin kick. He knows how to do a good punk jump with the guitar.
Yep.
I particularly appreciate on his social media presence for, I think it's mainly for Hardlaw, but he does the stress test for new camo pants. He's can you spin kick in these? And there's several where he's tried and just ripped the crotch out of them, and he's not good enough. Can't do it.
That happened to me at that Terminal Sleep show. I tried.
Just dropping your nuts in the middle of the pit.
Oh, I wish I was dropping them. They didn't really go anywhere. It was all the same.
Beautiful. I'm not featuring Holy Blade in the pod this week because it's not officially out. But I guess by the time this is published, and then if you're watching it a couple of days late, you should be able to find it. Yeah. And the whole EP will be out.
I'm sure everyone will be talking about it by then. Or anyone, everyone who listens to Hardlaw.
It's already hit Lamb Goat and Metal Injection, and people are just sharing the password to get into the website to go look at the clip. So
you're welcome.
Thank you. I feel privileged because you sent it to me first, but it's not really a secret anymore. But
God, no.
That's dope. I have a shout out for this week. The debut album from another kind of supergroup of sorts called Dukkha has come out. They're a metallic hardcore band that we featured on the pod a couple of weeks ago.
Cool.
It has Keith Barney from 18 Visions in it, as well as a bunch of other kind of, metallic hardcore heads. The record is called A Place You Can't Come Back From, and this is sick. It's very heavy metallic hardcore, 90s, 2000s metalcore shit. It's a little bit proggy in places. Riffs like a fucking sledgehammer. It's just good.
Sick. What was it called again? Sorry.
A Place You Can't Come Back From by Dukkha.
Okay.
Duhkha, which I believe is a Buddhist term of some kind.
Oh, I thought it was the when you go to get tapas and you can dip your. You know what I'm talking about, right?
The seasoning.
Yeah, I thought it was the. Oh, okay. Well,
it might be. I don't know. Maybe they're the same thing.
Maybe.
Who fucking knows? Should we get into the main show?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes,
as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/tpdpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/tpdpod. Thanks for watching the show.
All right, so first up for this week, we have Perth metalcore juggernaut Make Them Suffer have announced their 5th studio album. This one's self-titled, which is a choice, and it's due out on November 8th through Grayscale and Sharptone Records. Having a look at the track list, there's 11 tracks. A lot of them are some of the previous singles that they've released.
I was about to ask because I went on a bender of those 3 recent singles since Alex joined and just was wondering if an album was getting announced.
Yeah, so it's Doom Switch, Ghost of Me, Epitaph, and the most recent one, which we're about to play, which is Oscillator. So there's 4 singles that are already out from the record.
Cool.
And then it's got 11 tracks. So there's like 7 unreleased songs. But it's billed as, quote, bound with lashings of melodic light and blistering shade, the album fearlessly steps into new creative waters that embrace yet boldly expand upon the group's foundational, symphonic, progressive, and blackened textures. So all kinds of heavy going on with Make Them Suffer. So you could get some of that early deathcore shit. You could get some of the like more cyber futuristic metalcore shit. You could get whatever the fuck they feel like doing, basically.
I think that's what they've started doing, and it's made me enjoy them so much more.
Totally. Also, Alex plays a keytar. So
a sharp-looking keytar.
That's the sickest thing ever.
Yeah.
As someone who appreciates a sharp guitar, would understand.
Yeah. No, of course. I remember looking at it, not hoping, but like if anyone ever charged the stage, I'm like, I hope she just kind of winds up.
Just swings at him.
Yeah.
I've got a quote here on the new single, which is Oscillator. The band says, Oscillator is more than just a song about screen addiction. It delves into the profound impact this addiction has on mental health. As we become more reliant on this constant source of stimulation, our baseline joy and excitement for life in general becomes lowered. I believe we are currently facing a mental health crisis, largely attributable to screen addiction.
Now, I just want to mention the reason I scoffed was because you were like, it is about screen addiction while I was looking at my phone. I went, I'm just going to turn that off now.
I did notice, and I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to finish the quote, see if Chris has a brief, fleeting moment of self-awareness.
Oh, no.
And then I will promptly point it out.
The second you said it, I went, uh-oh. I am the butt of the joke.
I mean, look, I think we're all guilty of it. There are definitely moments. Like earlier this morning, I was like having breakfast, having coffee, and I was like trying to get through a YouTube video that was about 18 minutes long. And I paused it like 4 times to text, to look at Instagram, to do various things. And I had a moment of just being like, for fuck's sake, dude, just put it down. Finish the YouTube.
I literally got a new phone today to try and help me stop doing that. I got the Samsung Fold.
The flip phone?
Yeah, I would have brought it, but I let Beth set it up and play with it. But the hope is if I just have Spotify on the front screen, I'm not going to open it.
Okay.
Because it's what I open my phone for, and then I go, oh, Instagram has a notification.
It's those little red icons, man. They're just screaming at you like, hey, open me up. Clear the notifications. What are you doing?
Yeah, so topical song for a topical problem.
Very topical. Let's jump into it. We'll have a listen. This is Make Them Suffer, Oscillator. Thoughts, Chris?
I have come to appreciate this new era of Make Them Suffer as someone who was big on Lord of Woe and Old Salt. No, the album before that.
Old?
Never Bloom. Sorry.
Never Bloom.
Where it was just, a giant wall of sound with, fucking arpeggios going nuts.
Yeah.
This is that in the 24th century.
Yeah, like there's another quote that I didn't feature from the press release, but it basically talks about how like the band have kind of gone through a bit of a reinvention, like new members, they've kind of embraced a bit of a new sound. So like I kind of signposted this at the front when I said that like the self-titled album is like a choice. And I've talked about this on the pod before, but usually like when a band goes for the self-titled album, it means one of two things. Either like they don't have a cohesive enough theme for the record and the collection of songs that like it just makes sense to go for the self-titled, or that they've reached a point in their career where they need to kind of like do like a brand reset of basically just like, this is the band, this is the sound, this is where we're at. And I think it's more the latter for Make Them Suffer. Like they've kind of hit this point in their career where they're like, okay, this is the new shit, this is the lineup, this is what we're working with, Make Them Suffer.
I say keep working with it. It's sick.
Yeah,
it's great.
It works. I will say Oscillator, not my favorite of the singles, still a banger, but like it's no Doom Switch in my opinion.
It's no Epitaph in my opinion.
Fair enough. I'm very keen to see what is contained in the non-released singles, because the little like promo blurb is talking about like symphonic elements. Haven't heard any of that yet. Progressive blackened textures. So like, how hard will they go? How weird will they go? I don't know, but I want to find out.
Yeah, like I said, to me, it's sounding like the wall of sound for now and technology now and what we can do with it.
Yeah,
especially in like, oh god, Doom Switch. I almost said Death Touch in Doom Switch.
Yeah.
Like just constant barrage of noises in a good way.
Yes, a cacophony.
Yeah.
I will say that like they have one of the most impressive live shows I've seen. Like they are insanely tight and just like super good live. And I think they're reaching a point now where they're just like super battle tested when it comes to that sort of thing. Like they just got off 4 months of touring across North America and
Is
Europe.
that how long that tour was?
4 months.
Fuck.
Crazy. So they're on tour for a very long time. They've been back for, I think, about a month or a few weeks, and then they're about to go on the Suffer Forever tour with Bury Tomorrow, Spite, and Bloom. So they're a hardworking band, is what I'm trying to say. Like, they're like nose to the fucking road most of the year.
Yeah, I feel like even through ups and downs in their past, they have always
hardworking.
They don't stop.
No. So keen to hear the rest of the record, and excited for them to be back. Let's move on to the next track for this week. We have a new song from Military Gun's other project, or Ian Shelton's other project, I should say, Regional Justice Center. They have announced their third album. It's called Freedom, Sweet Freedom, and it's out on September 20th through Closed Casket Activities. Are you familiar with Regional Justice Center?
No, because I always get them mixed up with the band that was just here recently. Regional Justice Center? Last Ride just did a tour with them.
With Spy?
No, it was before that. Anyway, I can look it up while we're listening to it.
So you're getting them confused with someone else, is what you're saying?
Always got them confused with someone else. So this is just going to be completely new for me.
Okay, sick. Well, I mean, like, Military Gun is very much in that, like, hardcore meets, like, indie rock kind of, like, sound.
High Vis of America.
The High Vis of America sound, yes. Regional Justice Center is, like, just straight hardcore, like, aggressive.
Is it power violence-y as well?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit of a power violence touch. So Shelton started the project back in 2016 after his younger brother, Max, got incarcerated. Hence the Regional Justice Center name. So most of their records and singles have been focused on that idea of like mistakes, incarceration, all of that sort of shit. Max was released from prison in 2022, and this new record has him featured in the band and on the album doing writing and performance work. So
sick.
That's dope. So like it's a band kind of about him that now features him. So
Yep.
that's cool. And they also have Taylor Young.
I was just about to say that's the one thing the Young brothers don't have is one of them went to jail.
So Taylor recorded this record and he's now joined Regional Justice Center as a member. So
Oh, no shit.
that level of aggression just got an extra bit more polished and ferocious.
Hell
So
yeah.
that's pretty sick. They shared 2 new songs from the record. There's the pseudo kind of self-titled track called Freedom, and then there's another one called Take a Step Away. The former was recorded, was written by written by Ian. God damn it. And then the latter by Max. So in lieu of all of that, I picked the second track to play. It's called Take a Step Away. And let's have a listen to that.
Cool.
Now, I know you checked your phone. So what was the band that you were getting confused with?
Restraining Order.
Yeah, there you go.
I, for some reason, always get those two mixed
it's
up.
the R's. The
Yeah.
R's are confusing. But
But I won't from now.
yeah. Well, Restraining Order, sick band.
Very
so like you could do worse for confusing them. But what was your opinion on that?
It gave me flashbacks to playing in Dire Need.
Yes, it would. The
And-
power violence angle.
Yeah. No, it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was. I feel a bit bad that I don't have a lot to immediately say because that was technically the first time I at least knew I was listening to them.
Yeah.
But what I immediately heard was some knuckle dragging,
Yes.
people jumping up to grab the mic at the end over a bass riff.
Yeah. It's the type of thing too that like I'm not sure if that's Ian or Max on vocals. I could be getting them confused like with that particular arrangement with him like in the band now, but that vocal has like, for a lack of a better word, like a spit inflected kind of like tonality to it.
Yeah.
It sounds phlegmy.
It sounds
like
angry.
It sounds like it's spraying out of the side of a dude's mouth,
Yeah.
which like I'm a sucker for that. Like I want that visceral, tactile quality to a vocal where it sounds like they're literally doing it in front of your
like
face.
spitting venom.
Yes. Yeah. So I appreciate that. There's that kind of like sludgy kind of like break in the middle. There's a great kind of bass run and bass tone going in there. I mean, for an ostensibly short power violence song, there's enough change ups and enough kind of variation going on there to keep me interested.
Yep.
Which I appreciate. It's not just all fucking blasts and finish. So,
Yeah.
which I'm sure
do
you can
be like
appreciate.
that.
Yeah.
I
they
had
do.
to pretend that 6 songs were one song to be able to play any Dire Need shows.
I mean, how long is a Dire Need set? Like 6 minutes?
Oh, it feels like it. It's definitely a sprint.
Yeah, I'm stoked to have Regional Justice Center back. I know Ian's been focusing on Military Gun a fair bit for the last few years, but he does kind of like switch up between the projects. So cool to have them back. And yeah, with Taylor on board, it's sounding as fucking brutal as ever.
Yeah. No, I'm keen to hear the difference between
That and the old
that
stuff.
and without Taylor and without Max.
Yeah. So next track is from a band that we were talking about when you were on the show last week.
Yeah.
We were talking about Better Lovers and the announcement of their debut record. And then we got into a protracted conversation about you feeling like the child of divorced parents, torn between your love for Every Time I Die and the fractious split to Better Lovers and Many Eyes. And then kind of in an unsurprising turn, the announcement of the Better Lovers album kind of caused Keith Buckley to kind of come out of the woodwork and be like, oh, hey, don't forget about me. My other band is also releasing an album. Here you go. And all of those details just like dropped. So like, I can't confirm this, but I would suspect that was perhaps planned for later and was like rushed forward.
Starting to feel like the Drake and Kendrick of Fucking Buffalo.
I mean, a little bit, yeah. But anyway, enough kind of gossip and bullshit. Many Eyes are dropping a debut album. It's called The Light Age, and it'll be out on September 6th through Jamie Jaster's Perseverance Media Group. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I've got a comment here from Buckley on the most recent single, which is Harbinger, which we're about to play. And he said that one feels like the end of the world and it's suddenly happening. So that's what the lyrics are about. Pretty straightforward. There's also, I guess, to go back to the gossip and bullshit, there's also been some recent kind of lineup changes in Many Eyes. So the project is fronted by Keith, but then it's also the Balmora brothers, Nick and Chris,
who I don't know much about.
They are guys that were like in bands in the kind of like US East Coast scene years ago. Not super prolific, but obviously like good songwriters in their own right. But sorry, not Chris. Charlie Balmora is who I'm thinking of. He was booted from the band like in the last few weeks. Basically, Keith just like fired him. So that sucks. And then there were like both like conflicting, well, not conflicting, but like two different sets of press releases where basically he was like, yeah, I'm bummed that I'm not in the band anymore. Really loved making the album and like writing with my brother and Keith. He's like, I love those songs. Sucks that I won't get to play them. And then there was a statement from Keith and from Many Eyes basically being like, we thank you for your service. Cheers. Like, no longer part of the band. And I was like,
that's it. So long and good luck.
Yeah,
I didn't say good luck.
The tag of like, we wish them all the best in their endeavors and stuff. So
okay.
I don't know what the reason for it was. Like, they haven't completely aired that out, but yeah, messy. Just messy.
Yay.
Love it.
It's yeah.
Anyway, I've enjoyed all of the Many Eyes singles up until now.
Yeah, so did I.
I'm a big fan of Harbinger or Harbinger, whatever you want to say. Let's have a listen to that. We can talk about it on the flip side. Let's do it.
Like a voice in the wilderness, warning the world when it comes. Ready your heart for the sun. Burn all the rot and the fire. Down to the calendar date. From out of the grave comes our love.
All right. Now I have it on good authority that you already listened to that prior to coming into the studio.
Yes.
But tell me your feelings on that one.
It's the single I like the most from Many Eyes.
Okay.
Lyrically, it also kind of feels like the less I'm pissed at my brother song. But at the same time, Keith being Keith, it's you can read into those lyrics.
Totally.
Anyway, and you won't know until he tells you, because like you just said with Charlie, was it? Being kicked out of the band, could be about him.
Well,
could be about someone else.
Yeah, and I guess like the quote from Keith is like, the end of the world feels like it's looming on the horizon. That's what this is about. And I guess like that feeling of like impending doom, Armageddon, the world's about to fall in on you, like you can take that feeling and like make it as broad or as narrow as possible.
Yeah.
So it can be like a social observation of like, oh, the world's fucked. Everything feels like it's ending. Or it can be a personal thing of like, my world is fucked.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything that I'm doing is ending.
And I think that's why I like this one the most, because it's less laser focused on
a particular issue.
And I wonder who. But it feels less focused on that, and kind of back to how he used to write, where it's broad, but if you talk to him, you'll get who it's about, or when it's about, or where it's about.
I agree with you. And one of the things that I like appreciated the most about his time in Every Time I Die was his lyrics. And he's got a great kind of literary mind, and he's able to kind of make these fun kind of like metaphors and like allusions to different things. I feel like Many Eyes is perhaps a little bit more direct. It doesn't seem as like deliberately kind of like witty or like trying to like do like crazy lyrical stuff. It feels very much like focused on particular things that Keith wants to say. Refined is perhaps a better word. Yeah. But no, I enjoy it. I think it's probably the most, sonically anyway, the most like comparative to Every Time I Die in terms of like the energy, the heaviness, the sound. There's like a guitar tone bit that you pointed out that you were just like,
the feel on the with the high notes at the end of one of the riffs.
But I think it's good. Like, it's got lots of energy, and I think the album, The Light Age, is going to be pretty diverse from the sounds of the singles. Like, Keith is kind of pushing into, vocally into some different kind of areas, but then there's also going to be stuff that's fairly familiar to old listeners.
Are those singles before, the ones from before this one? Don't know why I struggled to phrase that. Are they on the new album?
I believe they are.
Okay.
Yes. I think similar to like the Make Them Suffer album that we were talking about. So like all of the previous singles have been ostensibly album singles with the album announcement only recently. But yeah, I could double check that and future me might, but I'm pretty sure they're all part of the record.
Yeah, no, that's again, well, it adds to you saying it's going to be a very diverse album.
I think so, because like there's one track on there, I forget the name of the single, but it's like very kind of like grunge, like alt rock kind of focus, like not super heavy. And then there's a song like Harbinger, which is like pretty full on and like aggressive. So yeah, lots of different stuff happening on that record. Speaking of heavy, I have a new band on my radar for this week. Have you heard of a band called Locked Shut?
No. Immediately? No. But it is very likely I have read the name at least once.
So I found these guys through the almighty YouTube algorithm because they put out a series of videos that are very slick, very, well kind of produced. They look almost like Turnstile-esque in their like aesthetic.
Oh, no, I think I have seen it.
And these have been suggested to me as like, you should watch this. And eventually I kind of like bit at it.
Yep, as we all do.
And the most recent single is called Toothache. Probably my favorite of, I think, the two that have been out so far. But the band is a quintet from the Midwest in the US. And they have a new record coming out called The New Chaos.
Cool.
Coming on August 23rd through what I assume is an independent release. I don't know about that. I DM'd the band for more info, so stay tuned unless I don't get that info because there isn't much online. But I would say that this is like fast and furious hardcore. There's like catchy hooks in the choruses. They're not necessarily like sung choruses, but like there's hooks in there. There's fun mosh parts. If you are into like Comeback Kid and stick to your guns, this is kind of right in that kind of sweet spot.
Cool.
But yeah, let's have a listen. This is Locked Shut, Toothache.
So deep I'm getting over the pain. Break myself out. Shut deep and pull it out. Yeah. Check it. I gotta cut you out.
You were saying this has the bounce.
The bounce.
Explain.
No, well, the only thing it is just, I think, what's missing from a lot of hardcore bands that are starting off now.
Yes.
Or currently going at the moment. There's not like a bounce to it.
Yeah.
It's just, let's get to the breakdown so I can hit that person I've been eyeing up the whole time.
Yeah, I think the bounce, or like, I guess what we would call the groove, is super important, and it's kind of been a consistent feature running through hardcore for decades. Like, you can kind of lose it at your peril depending on like what you're trying to do, but I think the groove and the bounce is so good and so immediate that it kind of transcends genre, right? Like, if you think about like funk has the bounce.
Which I think is where I get the bounce from, because I think of it as funk, of like, where's the bit where you're meant to like get immersed in it with the band?
Yeah. I wrote a book chapter for a published collection that hasn't come out yet about like analyzing the breakdown from, I guess, what in philosophy you would call a phenomenological perspective, which is like the body. So like what is it about a breakdown that is like irresistible to the body? And it comes down to like the way that like hearing music and particularly like loud percussive sounds forces like a fight or flight response in the human body.
Yeah.
And then like depending on how you've trained yourself listening to music, you know like the part that follows the next part. So like the breakdown is good because it is like this like staccato, rhythmic, repeated thing of like dun 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 dun. So your body, like you understand this and you kind of like are like training yourself for like what's coming next, which means that like the more crazy and psycho the breakdown gets to like defy that expectation can give you like a little bit of a thrill. And it ignites that fight or flight of like, ooh, I wasn't expecting that. I'm caught off guard and I'm getting a sense of exhilaration and enjoyment from it. So I bring that up to say that like the bounce and the groove is heavily linked to that. So that's why that is like a time-honored thing in all sorts of genres because it makes people want to move. It makes them want to dance. It makes them want to do a whole bunch of shit. And like subconsciously or otherwise, you hear it and you're like, I want to headbang.
Yeah.
I want to air drum.
It can be the smallest thing.
I want to tap my foot. In the technical term, it's called mimetic entrainment. But yeah, it's basically like your body mimicking the rhythm and the groove without you even knowing about it. And stuff like this has the groove and is locked into that bounce, and it makes it more immediate and kind of catchy because of it.
See, I just thought I looked cooler when I punch people in time to music. That's all I thought it was.
I mean, that too, but like there's a whole bunch of other aspects to it. Like there's a social component of like wanting to belong and like going to a show and seeing people act crazy is kind of like giving yourself a license to also act crazy.
Yeah, I can't do that.
And there's a liberatory aspect to that. So like there's a lot of shit that I wrote about, but that main thing is like the rhythmic groove is like a powerful thing if used right.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, cheers to the YouTube algorithm for serving up this band.
It goes all right sometimes.
I had never heard of them and they sound sick. If you're reading that DM, send me the album info, please.
So then he can send it to me.
Yeah, I can feature it on the show. That'd be good. Next up, I have a new song from Rising Stars, Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers.
What was the joke we made last week?
So I have it in the notes here.
Yeah, cool. Because you said that to me and I went, I don't know what he's talking about.
So this has become a running theme of this episode where you're like, I get said band confused with other said band. Last week, we talked about Teenage Jones.
Yep.
And you said, I get them confused with Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers.
Right. Okay.
And I was saying to you that like we said that joke, we threw that out into the universe, and then the universe was like, here is a new Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers song because you got them confused.
Yeah, no, that's...
So you willed this into being is what I'm saying.
I should do that more often.
Yeah. Manifest more new music, please.
Yeah. Who do you want this week?
Fuck, I don't know. I'll get back to you.
Misery Signals? You want me to...
Look, that'd be great. If they drop some new shit before they call it a day forever, I would be forever in your debt.
I bet that there will be at least one last release from them. And it's probably just going to be Furnace Fest with their last show. Yeah?
I believe so, yes.
Live from Furnace Fest. Ugh.
We can only dream. So, Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers are doing a deluxe edition of their debut album, I Love You, which came out last year. Mm-hmm. The deluxe edition is just called I Love You 2. TOO. So,
excellent.
It kind of works as like a sentence.
Yep.
That drops on September 20th through Domestic Lala. It's going to have 3 new songs. One's called Please Me. The other one is called We Thought It Would Be a Good Time, but It Was a Bad Time. And then the final song, or the final new song, is called Dull. And that one features Canadian Riot Gaze sibling duo Soft Cult, friends of the show. So I'm going to play Dull for you in a second. But I also want to note that the band are heading over to the US for the first time in September.
Oh, that's right.
They are playing at Eddie Vedder's Ohana Festival alongside Pearl Jam, Alanis Morissette, Idols, Kim Gordon, The Breeders, and more.
That sounds like a great time to be stoned.
So fucking hell yeah for Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers. That's a crazy lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is dope. It's a 6-song Love Soft Cult, friends of the show, great feature. Was definitely no way I wasn't going to feature this on the show, even with you manifesting it into being. So let's have a listen to that. This is Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers, Dull featuring Soft Cult.
Started out as something I did for fun. Late night, go home, lights on. You're so draining, can't stay here. Hey, don't you know that you had such a big effect on me?
No, it would have been my fault. It would have been way funnier.
What did you think of that?
I understand why Dave Grohl likes them quite a lot. I remembered while listening to it, I did take photos of them at the last Unify and really enjoyed it.
Oh, right.
Because it ties in with my whole like, yeah, I like slam, but occasionally I like when girls sing about boys and it makes me feel better.
I mean, look, we span multitudes, right?
Yeah.
We can enjoy a good, slammy, fucking gutty. We can enjoy nice, pretty, delicate, angelic vocals too.
Going to a Hatchie concert and starting to cry and my friend going, do you need to leave?
Excuse me, sir, are you okay? No, I think this is a beautiful song. I love the hook. I think the chorus is great. I'm a sucker for anything that just has like backup harmonies.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It's dreamy.
Dreamy, exactly. The Soft Cult feature is perfect. Mercedes, fits the vibe of the song perfectly. I don't really have much else to say about it. I thought I Love You was really good. Stoked that they're doing a deluxe edition and tacking on some new songs. That's sick.
Always a good move.
Always a good move. Yeah, just stoked for more Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers.
Yeah, no, that's going to be my drive home.
Perfect. I have another cool new one for you. Are you familiar with the band Balmora?
Just started listening to them this morning. I say that as someone who has been in the van with Blood on My Hands a lot, and they like that band.
I could see them enjoying it. Yeah.
Which this morning I went, no shit, they like them. But like, I never fully got like Sanction and Chamber to a lesser extent. I always appreciated them a lot, but that sound.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until this morning when I'm walking through Savers, just being like, dude, Balmora fucking rip.
So we featured them on the podcast a bunch, and I've talked about them a few times. They have a new track called Blood Lord, which is out, and it is, yeah.
After what I heard this morning, that's a very them title.
Fucking Dark Souls ass having name. But this one features on the 4th volume of the One Scene Unity compilation, which is a hardcore comp that comes out through From Within Records.
Cool.
So they're featured on that lineup. Other bands include Scarab, Killing Frost, Blow Your Brains Out, Firestarter, a bunch of sick bands. So go listen to the whole comp because it rips. But I would say Balmora are definitely skewing towards like that late 90s, very early 2000s, like metalcore revival sound.
It sounds a lot like the songs girls I was interested in had on their MySpace profiles.
Excellent. Nice to see you've got good taste. But I think like that's kind of worth noting because like this is a hardcore compilation. And if you were to listen to Balmora like devoid of context, you would say that like they don't really sound like a hardcore band. They sound like a very like early metalcore band. But I think what's interesting about them is like they definitely have a hardcore ethos and mentality to them that has seen them play on a whole bunch of like hardcore festivals as like an early opener and having some of the most insane psycho pits I've ever seen. There's one video I think of them playing at FYA Fest at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The whole fucking floor is just like kids windmilling and moshing.
Is that when they're doing the intro track as well?
And the intro is like Unhallowed by Black Dahlia Murder. Like,
and
just,
you like it goes quiet for a moment. You can literally hear sneakers squeaking on the floor.
yeah, it's sick. And like they definitely know the exact sweet spot that they're referencing, and they do it incredibly well. So, you know, like we already talked about Make Them Suffer earlier in this episode. Like that is a very contemporary, very 2024 sounding metalcore sound.
Yep.
Balmora are like a pre-2004 sounding metalcore sound, which is also dope. Like I think you can enjoy both. You don't have to say one is better than the other.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought I would play this new song to you, and I'm stoked that the Blood on My Hands guys fuck with it too, because great band.
Yeah. They love them.
This is Balmora, Bloodlord. Sick.
You know what it sounds like to me?
No,
And this may sound backhanded, but it's absolutely not backhanded. It sounds like Balmora have so much confidence in the music they want to make, because that track was like 8 different songs in one.
Oh yeah.
And like they were probably looking at like, oh, let's do this section that sounds like this band. Like wearing their influences on the sleeve kind of thing, but also because they want to and because they know what they want to make. They sound so self-confident.
They know, like, they are like students and scholars of that particular sound. And like, you can definitely tell when like people are doing a sound because it's like trendy versus like people who like, nah, I ride or die for this very particular sound, and I know all of the bands, I know all of their weird, obscure side projects.
Yep.
I have the fucking demos that they put out that never turned into any other band. Like, that's the type of level of like music knowledge going on here. Like, very much scholars of late 90s metalcore. Like, they know what they're doing.
They know exactly what, well, from the sounds of it, they know exactly what they want to do, and they're doing it, and that's making me like them.
Yeah. I was thinking, based on what you said earlier, where you were like, it sounds like something that like, you know, girls that I was trying to tune on the internet would have as like display songs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, as someone who looks back fondly on the days of MySpace, if I was talking to someone and they had this as their like MySpace song, I would be sending a friend request.
Oh, it's love at first sight.
I would be like, we are soulmates.
I don't care how obnoxious you've coded your background to be. You are now within my top 4 friends.
Yeah. I don't care what kind of like flash I need to run to like view your like MySpace profile.
It's the most unhinged shit. Or like the day you figure out what bit of script to put in so people can't turn the song off.
As like a kid of the mid 2000s, it was wild how like you went through like computer science courses to try and like teach you how to make a web page or like how to format a resume, just like real like stupid shit.
Nah, bitch, I'm going to Pastebin.
And like all the people were doing was like coding their MySpaces and playing Counter-Strike. And like the teacher having like no idea what was going on. So,
it was the Wild West.
It was
in my computer classes.
Looking very fondly upon that Balmora track, I really just want them to do a record. I think I said this on the pod last time I talked about them. Like they had that EP that came out last year. They had a split with Since My Beloved that came out earlier this year. All of it's dope. This track is dope. I just want an album. Give me a full length. Let's go.
I want a gold foil Balmora hoodie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Bring back the like 2007 deathcore look of just like gold foil print everything.
Buy like a surplus of Bathing Ape, like the fucking monkey thing
The
and
shit
then put it
that'll
on
fade
that.
away after like one wash, and it'll just crack and start to like fade into gold dust everywhere.
I wouldn't know. My mother didn't buy them for me. For good reason, probably.
Moving on to the next track for this week. This one is a new project that has come out through the $20 Spin label. It is titled Neon Nightmare. Did I send this
Yeah,
to
you sent me this one.
Okay. So the debut single from the project is called Lost Silver. And the press release is pretty mysterious. It features a promo shot of a single individual that's like blurred out, so they're supposed to be kind of anonymous. Is the idea? This is the press release in full. Quote: "There's nothing new under the sun, but maybe in the shadows there's a chance. Neon Nightmare's particular shade of sonic darkness initially rose from the war-scarred industrial landscape of Birmingham, England, or was it the Mississippi Delta? Either way, pain and heartache seemed to be an essential element. This vibrational current crawled across continents, shaking the basements of Red Hook, Brooklyn, and haunting the graveyards of Lodi, New Jersey. The sound has lived in many forms, some colored by psychedelic experimentation, and others raw and real." That's it. That's the entire press release. So I guess let's listen to the song and then we can kind of chat about what's going on here.
Yeah.
This is Neon Nightmare, Lost Silver.
We buried you with silver and gold. Where did you go? Can't feel you anymore. Dying alone.
The one job that I have.
Let's start with the obvious. Some very big typo negative worship going on there.
The biggest.
The biggest. I'll throw the artwork up on the screen for people watching, but if that wasn't an obvious aesthetic signpost as to what you would find by listening to it, you can definitely hear it as soon as the song starts.
Yeah.
The first 30 seconds, you're like, oh, I know what's going on here.
Yep.
I love this song. I think it's great. I think probably the last minute is some of the most like beautiful, haunting, like melodic metal shit I've heard all year, which is great.
Yep.
I love everything about this.
It's going straight into my banging playlist.
Excellent.
That's the biggest compliment I can give it.
It is cum metal personified.
Yeah.
As Johnny from Health explained to me the other week when I asked him what cum metal is, he described it in a couple of words and then signposted typo negative as like, that's cum metal.
They are the cum band.
They are the cum band. I guess the other thing to note is like, this is obviously meant to be like a mysterious, anonymous kind of project. I'm sure details will be forthcoming, but for the moment, they're not really saying who it's from. For the purposes of this podcast, I will just like to get it out on record that I'm fairly certain that it's Nate Garrett from Spirit Adrift.
Mm-hmm.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I have knowledge about that, but I just want to put that out into the ether. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Fuck it. But I'm fairly certain that my ears have been trained from a decade of listening to Nate and Spirit Adrift. As soon as I heard that song, I was like, oh, that's Nate. That's got to be him.
Yeah, sure.
So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever.
Look, like I said to you while we were listening to it, as a recent typo fan, that being 2020,
what a year to choose to get into typo negative.
Especially
were
like...
you depressed, dude?
Yeah, I just cancelled a wedding.
We talked about this
last
last
week. I was going through it. and the sweet whispers of Peter Steele filled my soul.
The sweet, seductive whisper of Peter Steele.
Yeah, and then I listened to I Like Goyles and went, oh, it's not about me.
Wow.
But what I was going to say was like my perspective on typo, which are in my top 5 favorite bands, I would say, is they seem to have such a reputation that making anything that sounds like them is like stepping on holy ground.
Yeah, and I think it's because like they had such a idiosyncratic sound that, you know, for the reasons we just described, like listening to this song, they became the immediate reference point because like there is a particular sonic signature that is typo.
Yeah.
So like you can do it as like a cover. Like we were talking about how Paul Bearer did that cover of Love You to Death, which is fantastic, but it is very much like, you know, it's typo worship. It's a straight fucking cover of that song. So like you can adopt that sound, that sonic signature, that aesthetic, but you can never really make it yours because it is very much a typo Peter Steele thing.
Yeah, and I think also what you were saying while we were listening to it with Balmora being scholars of the things they love, you have to be a scholar for type O to make it sound as like honest might be the wrong word, but
I think that's the perfect word.
Oh, well, like the honest love you have for type O.
I think
and not just trying to rip them off.
I think the word you're looking for is authentic.
Yes.
So like knowing that whoever this project may be, they are clearly students of typo.
Yep.
They clearly love everything that band represents sonically, artistically, lyrically, and they are doing, you know, very well-worn homage to it, but still putting enough shades of other things in there to kind of make it their own. As the promo kind of says, like, you know, it starts in Birmingham, you know, home of Black Sabbath. It moves through to the Mississippi Delta. So you're talking about like blues and, you know, roots. And then you're moving into Red Hook, Brooklyn. So you're getting the typo kind of connection. So like they're talking about the kind of like the through line of heavy metal that goes from its origins through to today. So like it's not just about typo, but it very much is typo.
Very much. And that intro, in my initial response to you, I went, this sounds like the water levels in Mario 64.
It's true. I did listen to that link that you sent me, and then I watched a music theory video that talked about the specific arpeggio structure that it uses.
Yep.
Like I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Dope. Okay, well, we have one more song to go through for the Mosh Pithy section of the podcast today. Cool. Final band is House of Protection. Have you listened to these guys before?
I have not.
Okay, so this is the project of former Fever 333 members Arik Improda and Stephen Harrison. Arik is in Night Verses.
Yes,
that's
he
his
is.
like main project.
He's insane.
Probably one of the best drummers in the world.
I can't believe some of the stuff he does and the way he will use percussion.
Yeah. An absolute freak on the kit. And yeah, I'll say it again, probably one of the best like technical drummers in the world. So they have announced details of their debut EP. It's called Galore. Cool. And it's dropping on the 13th of September through Red Bull Records. They are also playing their debut live shows later that month in LA and London.
Cool.
So that's cool. They've done a slew of singles from the EP. We featured, I want to say, the debut single a couple of months ago on the podcast. Name escapes me, but it's in there. You can find it. The latest one is called Pulling Teeth. And I thought this would be just a fun inclusion, considering that we talked about Locked Shut having the song Toothache before. And there's a line about pulling teeth.
Yep.
I was like, it's a fun little link.
Putting that literary degree you have to use, huh?
Yeah, thank you. So I've got a quote here from the band about pulling teeth. They filmed this one at the infamous Well of Death velodrome in India. And I'll put the film clip in there for people watching in a little bit. But here's the quote. After 30 hours of travel, including cancelled flights, flooding in our connecting airport, which was Dubai, a cancelled location due to a political rally, and an additional 16 hours of driving round trip through the desert to the backup location, we finally found ourselves in the Well of Death. We did 9 takes with a live audience, all while our director was throwing up between shots, and one of the motorcycles died in the middle of the performance. That said, we came out with something better than we ever could have expected and had an incredible team on the ground that made it all possible.
None of that sounds surprising when you know the musical history those guys have.
Oh yeah, they've been through it. Like, I mean, before Fever, like Stephen was in the Chariot.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So like the dude has been in his fair share of chaotic situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, the video clip fucking rules. Like, it's a cool shot and the song is great. Probably my favorite of the singles so far from the EP. But let's have a listen. House of Protection, Pulling Teeth.
It lives, it dies with me. Hey! Spinning all your rounds till you slip off track. Blaming someone else as you build your stack. Running the parade to the ground and back.
Love that. I love how the build up to that final kind of like pop at the end, it very much like trains you to expect him to like say the name of the band as like the final kind of like mic drop.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Because he's like rhyming it with correction, and like in my head, first listen, I was like, is he gonna say House? Is he gonna say House of Protection? There he goes. He fucking did it. I'm the Leo meme, just like,
I clapped when I saw the thing.
yeah. It's dope.
Yeah, sick track. Especially with Steve. That's his name, right?
Steven, yeah.
Yeah, Steven. Apologies.
It could be Stefan. I'm pretty sure it's Steven.
Well, let's go with Steven, and when
Steve's fine.
If I ever meet him,
apologies if we fucked it up, but
I second that. But I
his
think
Instagram handle is Stevis, so I assume that like Steven, but anyway, could be wrong. Continue.
No, you can keep going if you want. I want to hear more about this. From my perspective, at least, seeing him and also being a bass player. Wait, does he play bass? No, he plays guitar.
He's a guitarist. I think he played bass in the Chariot.
Regardless, my
I could
point.
be wrong about that.
My point is, I think, from my perspective, I've seen him in a lot of support roles.
Yes.
And like bringing the energy and backing things up, and
Yeah.
that situation.
Having him in the primary role here is
really
sick.
nice, really cool. I bet he has a lot to say.
I bet he does. And yeah, he's just like a very like charismatic presence, like on the mic,
Yep.
in videos, on stage, like very consummate professional when it comes to being a crazy musician. And then backed with someone like Eric with like probably one of the most inhuman metronomic kind of bodies. Just, yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
It's an insane kind of duo.
Yeah, but it's like I'm just going to end up saying the same thing. It's just nice seeing him at the front.
Yes. No, I completely agree. Go watch the full video for Pulling Teeth, because they clearly went through some shit to film it and do it, and it's sick. There's a still image which future me will find and put up on the screen right now for like the single artwork, and there's like a dude hanging out of the window of the car as it goes around the velodrome, like seemingly defying gravity.
He's
And
like, it looks like he's standing up on a gravitron.
yeah, it looks psycho, and I appreciate bands that go that extra mile to like do something cool instead of, I don't know, putting orange amps in a field and playing. So
Was that a specific attack?
no, there's too many to name. Like, you know who you are. Like, it's been done before.
It was just a covered strike just then.
Exactly. Okay, well, that is Mosh Pithy for this week. That was lots of fun. Should we get into the feature album and close out the show?
Let's
do it. We were just talking about this before, and now I'm going to do that thing where I make you repeat the thing that you just said to me. But Feature album for this week is Canadian hardcore punk export Fucked Up. They are known for being experimental and crazy. Their back catalogue is intimidating, to say the least. Are you familiar with Fucked Up?
Only by name.
Okay. And how do you know about them?
Because I very vividly remember in a Zoo magazine article where they were talking about offensive bands, or just it was something to do with bands being offensive. And they were like, look at this band. They're called Fucked Up.
That's so fucking
and
sick.
14-year-old me went, wow,
that's crazy.
You can do that?
That's a swear word. Yeah, incredible. Shout out to Zoo Magazine, something I didn't expect anyone to talk about in 2024, but incredible. So it's been a busy week for Fucked Up. They put out not one, but 2 new records. So I will explain what's going on there. So last year they put out a record called One Day. And
did they make it in one day?
Foreshadowing, Chris.
That's fucked up.
The group imposed a 24-hour constraint on the writing and recording of that record. So yes, you are correct. It was...
What the fuck is this King Gizzard shit? How many albums are there?
There's a lot. So their back catalogue is crazy. But we featured One Day on the pod last year, and I also wrote a review for Exclaim magazine in Canada talking about it. And I said, quote, that it represents both a creative challenge leveled directly at a unit of time and a literal evocation of temporality as a force that shapes human phenomenal experience. Once again, putting that literary degree to work. You're very welcome. So following up that record, this year they've essentially doubled down on that premise. The new album, the one that we're going to be talking about today, is called Another Day. And it is essentially them doing the same thing. So obviously that pressure cooker experience of writing and recording something in 24 hours was good. So they were like, we'll just do that again.
Yep.
They also then doubled down again, quadrupled down. Is that maybe how you would put that? I don't know. They live streamed themselves in the studio for a day straight. And then they put that album, which was a whole entire other album called Who's Got the Time and a Half. They put it up on Bandcamp earlier this week for 24 hours and then deleted it. So it's now gone and you can't listen to it.
What? What rabbit hole have you given me for my evening?
I'm just trying to make it interesting. So there is one Fucked Up album that we can listen to and one that we cannot. I'm sure there are like bootleg copies of it.
I'll find a way.
And I think they sold physicals as well. So like some people have copies of it, but like, yeah, it's just not on the internet. You can't find it.
Hey, it's cool to see stuff like that.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah.
So first song I'm going to play for you comes from the Another Day record. And this is one of the pre-release singles, but I think it is relevant to our interests. This is Fucked Up, Stimming.
The world is a sea that confuses me. Adrift with an angel, while wrapped in between an ocean of noise. I'm stranded on board, deep in a mind filled with musical toys, keeping me safe as I battle away from the glamour and clash of another day. My stimming protects from the ways I could get.
Was that your first time hearing Fucked Up?
It was my first time hearing Fucked Up.
Thoughts?
It sounded like what I would expect to hear at the end of either Wild Hogs or Grown Ups.
Wow.
Like-
okay, that's not what I expected.
Coming of age dad movie.
It is like, that's the thing about their back catalog is like, it is so diverse and they have more intense records. They have faster songs, but they also have like really eclectic, proggy, psych, like fucking radio rock type shit.
Yeah,
Like
which
they are a musical unit that can pretty much do whatever they want to do, and you can never really figure out what they're going to do next. Like, I certainly didn't expect them to like do One Day as like an experiment of like spontaneity and then do it again.
Yeah, that is. Well, you were saying to me while we were listening that like One Day is a good spot to start.
I think it's very accessible, and I said it on the pod last year that like it's one of my favorite Fucked Up records. But I think if you have never like bothered to pay attention to the band or listen to any of their other shit, you could listen to that record and get a fairly good idea of like what they sound like. There's some really sticky songs in there. There's some of their best songs in there. And then if you're interested, you could then dabble and go back and find all of the weird and wonderful shit. As you were doing, you were scrolling through there, just being like, Chinese Zodiac? Like, what? What the fuck's going on? Like, there's so much there that like you could take it or leave it. But I think One Day is like a nice, succinct, like 30-minute record that shows you what's going on.
Yeah, but then, you know, you said being surprised by Another Day, which is the same process again.
Yeah, the same concept. And like, that's the thing is like to do a formal experiment like this, but then to do it like multiple times, like I would say there must be something about it that this particular group of musicians found intriguing. And I think it is that pressure cooker, right? Of like putting some guardrails down and being like, we have this many hours to write a record. We better write the record.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, you're a musician. I'm sure that would like ignite something in you in terms of like, well, I better fucking do something.
Oh, well, the not even as a musician, but the example I was going to bring up was now and then, if I'm getting stuck editing photos or videos because I'm like, this isn't working how I want.
Yeah.
And like, I start to get a little in my own head and being like, I can't do this. Something's wrong.
Deep in the weeds with it.
Yeah, I'll set myself a challenge and be like, I'm going to give myself an hour. I want to see what I can make from this. And 9 times out of 10, it has resulted in a fucking diamond out of pressure. And I'm like, didn't know I could do that.
That's interesting. And I think that similar process is kind of what's going on here. And, you know, I'll kind of admit that like their back catalog is fairly intimidating. And I've certainly not listened to every record. There are some that I've tried to listen to and just been like, I'm not really vibing this.
Sounds like me and Swans.
Yeah. Another band that's kind of that same kind of like experimental, arty kind of level. But I found the stuff on One Day to be very immediate, very accessible, and sticky in the way that like I would hum some of the melodies or the refrains, and I would go back to the record and be like, I want to listen to it again, which I haven't really found on other releases.
Yeah, well, I guess giving yourself that time limit, you cut a lot of the fat.
Yes,
and you
don't have time for it.
Yeah, and
literally.
Especially going back to my thing of like, all right, I'm going to give myself an hour and I'm going to do this. You work within the box. You know your limitations, and you can stop and go, all right, well, I can't do this. I don't have enough time to sit here and learn it.
Yeah.
Got to keep moving.
No, I think conceptually it's just super interesting. And I think, you know, the proof is kind of in the records, right? Like they've done 3 of these now under this like 24-hour time constraint. I can't really speak about the other record because I like reminded myself to listen to it because it was only going to be available for a day, and then I forgot, and like now I can't listen to it. And I tried to find bootleg copies of it on the internet to listen to, and I have so far unsuccessful. But if you have a copy, send it to me.
I'm just going to be honest and say I'm probably going to pirate it somehow, and then I will give it to you because you've made it inaccessible for us. Piracy's the only way.
But I've listened to Another Day, and I think it's good. I'm not sure if it has the staying power the One Day has, but I mean, it's only been out for like a day or 2. So like, I'll give it another day or more until it sticks with me. You're welcome. I have a quote here from a music writer that I love, Brad Sanders. He wrote a review of Another Day for Spin Magazine. And there's a nice little quote here that I think kind of sums up what we've been talking about. He says, quote, "The Fucked Up catalog is forever in conversation and conflict with itself. This is a band who is currently 9/12 of the way through a series of EPs based on the Chinese Zodiac, who supplemented the landmark David Comes to Life concept album with a compilation of fake bands from the universe of that record. Hell, they just risked kneecapping their own album release campaign by spontaneously rushing out a competing LP. Context is everything with Fucked Up, and the more context you have, the better their records work." And I think Brad is exactly right. Like, they're a deep lore band. So, like, if you listen to these albums in isolation, not knowing anything about them, you'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah.
this is so obtuse and so weird. What is going on? You kind of have to know the lore. You kind of have to understand the context of where these all sit for them to really kind of have the resonance that they're intended to have. So, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, no, like along with I'll go back over the playlist and pretend I actually said the band I'm thinking of right now, but I'm keen to look into them later.
Okay. Final track I want to play for you comes at the very back end of Another Day. This one is called Follow, Find Feeling. And this time, guitarist Mike Halachik takes over lead vocals, which again is a trick that they did on the One Day record for a song called Cicada, or Cicada, which is how he says it in his Canadian accent.
Yeah, they're all gross either way. I fucking hate them.
That track was one that we featured on the podcast, probably my standout of that record, and I would say one of my favorite, probably my favorite Fucked Up song like ever.
Cool.
So cool to see Mike back on the mic doing lead vocals for this one. Bit of a different vibe. Let's have a listen. This is Fucked Up, Follow, Find Feeling. Thoughts?
It's great. It was a great time.
It's a little bit more in like a power pop kind of direction.
Yeah.
And I think Mike's vocals kind of versus to David's like have that kind of more like melodic sensibility to them. So it definitely like pulls the band and skews them in that direction. But you were kind of pointing out that like there are parts of this that sound like something on like a King Gizzard record. And I definitely agree because there's a lot of like a kind of like psych experimentation and like 70s like radio rock stuff that has like gradually seeped into what they've been doing on different records. And we were talking about this while the song was playing, but like the drummer in Fucked Up, Jonah Falco, is a prolific producer in his own right. And he's worked with bands like Homefront, which do like an 80s, you know, synthy post-punk kind of thing. He's also worked with Chubby and the Gang, who are doing like a UK hardcore take on like 70s power pop type stuff. So like there's enough talent in the band vocally, production wise, that they can really kind of pull the band in different directions, even on one record, let alone multiple records. So yeah, I just think it's cool that they can do stuff this good spontaneously, it seems, in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous as someone who can't even do a record or a band.
Oh man, you give me 2 weeks and I leave everything to the last 24 hours. So I totally understand how they're able to do it.
Yeah. I would say if you're listening or watching and you haven't tried with Fucked Up, but those songs sound intriguing enough, just pick a record and give it a listen. Like, I think any of their records will give you a kind of cool indication of the stuff that they're capable of. I personally like One Day. I think Another Day is also a really good record. I think there's so much in their back catalog for people to find that, like, you know, it's like a choose your own adventure. Just like pick a record and dive in.
I kind of hope they release a B-sides to One Day and Another Day, and they call it Yesterday.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
I'm looking for more puns on day.
Yeah.
There was a record from 2015. Fuck. The name escapes me now. Future me will probably fact check this and put the album up. But there was a big record that they did in like 2018, and then they released like a full like B-side record of that, which was just as big, and it was intimidating. It was like 36 songs in total, and it was like, do you guys like never just cut anything out? Like, is everything good? That's fucking crazy to me. Anyway, yeah, listen to Fucked Up. They're great.
I will.
Cool. Anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to chat about before we hit stop?
Nah. Like I said last time, go to shows, support shows, quit fucking glory hounding what show you're at and just go and have fun. Actually, shout out to Billiam and the Split Bills who put out. I assume Billiam wrote the whole thing because he's fucking crazy like that. But they just put out their second album and they are now on their way to Europe, and that's really cool.
Yeah,
and it was originally in the playlist, but Second Death by Dissect.
Oh yeah, I had that in there.
I quickly asked Damon for some notes on that, and he said the breakdown is written in triple drop D.
Beautiful.
Which is, I'm a musician and my brain can't figure out what the fuck that means. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I can, but I can't sonically or in like looking at a tab in my head. I'm like, what do you mean? Where are the D's? And he sampled Dirt Step for the break. Yeah, see? He sent that to me and I sent back a Joe Dirt picture of him going like this. I'm like, you mean like this? No, it's a subgenre of dubstep.
Fucking fascinating. I will say, like, even though I didn't feature it on the playlist for this week, that Dissect song rules, and the artwork is dope. That whole like futuristic,
Holy
like,
hand grenade.
chrome kind of like aesthetic that I've seen is like quite popular and trendy right now. But like that in particular was like super eye catching, and I was like, that's sick.
But yeah, I'll shout out.
Triple drop
Yeah,
D.
triple drop D.
Okay. If you know what that means, write in and let us know.
Or just listen to the song and go, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, dope. Okay, well, let's wrap it up. We'll leave it there.
Sick.
Sick.
Thank you for having me again.
No worries. Thank you for coming on the show.
Always.
See ya.